Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. How you guys doing? Welcome. It's Hump Day. And as such, we have another fantastic episode of the Paranormal Portal, commercial free, coming at you tonight. 2 full hours of the paranormal wonder and delight that you've come to expect from the shows. And sometimes we actually deliver, so that's good. But first and foremost, I'm not alone here. That heavy breathing you're hearing, that wasn't me. In fact, that is my good friend and co-host, the Big Toe himself, Mr. Don Longbeard. How you doing?
Hump day.
Hump day.
Hump
all
day.
day.
Hump day all day.
Almost, well, it's the downhill, I guess, now for the weekend, right?
Sure.
How's your week going, Don?
So far, it's been going pretty crappy.
Okay.
Just saying.
Welcome, Captain Sunshine.
I just get tired of working for the man. Not you, the actual man. The actual man, or
yeah,
somebody else that I'm not making money from.
The other man.
The other man.
All right. Well,
big man.
I'm glad you like working here on the portal. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. Hopefully, anyway, that's the objective. What you're seeing on your screen, in case you missed last week, is the Ghost Radar.
You put it back on.
I did it on Saturday, and we had some really cool things happen. Actually, Skype closed itself.
Really? Got mad. Said, I'm not going to do this. Don't worry.
Wow, it's never done that before. Never has Skype actually closed.
Wow.
So that was a first after it went, right. It does that parcel tongue thing.
Right.
So we're going to do that again. In fact, I forgot to connect Skype, so I better do that.
Oh, well, yeah.
I better do that. There we go. We're getting Skype lined up so with that we can accept phone calls. Should they exist? If you should feel the need to call in, you can do so by using that number that's on your screen right now, the number right below my face or Don's face, eventually. Yours is all whited out. Look at it. Oh, there it goes. It faded in. Yeah, so those are the numbers right below our faces, right down here on this bar, the lower third, courtesy of Mr. Wes Germer. Thank you, Wes.
Germer.
Making us look all pro. At least we look pro, Don.
Well, where I'm from, pro means something else.
Yeah, but we got a lot of things. We got a lot of things on deck for you. We've got, of course, the news. We're going to do the Discord question of the week. The question of the week came from K-Love, who's in the chat now, and as well as a member of our Discord. And she asked about the Philadelphia experiment. So that's a great question. And we've gotten a lot of answers, so that'll be fun to talk about. I think you probably know a lot more about that, Don, than I do. Well, I mean,
just ask Al Bielik.
Well, Al's no longer with us, so it's going to have to be you, Don.
He got lost in 1984.
Apparently. But we also got some Cryptid Corner coming up to round out the end of the show, as usual. So we got a lot of things to get to. Again, the phone lines are open. If you want to call in and be a part of the journey, you sure can. 720-923-0500. But please wait till after the news to call in if you should so choose, because I'm only one man, but I got buttons everywhere. There's a parade of buttons around here, Don.
Yeah.
It is. Trust me. All right, you ready for some of the news?
Sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the news. We're the only news John Stevenson trusts.
Yes.
Because we are the most trusted news, of course.
Wow.
How about that, Donna?
Yeah, well.
And as you can see, the Ghost Radar is taking over the whole show. It's even in the news desk.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that would be news, though.
It would be. If something pops off, we'll, of course, be watching for it. Now, quickly, I guess I should go over the mechanics of a Ghost Radar. Any device you have that utilizes wireless has what's called a magnetometer in it. And magnetometers are essentially how wireless works. And the thing to remember, though, is that the range for the magnetometer on wireless devices is pretty narrow. So it isn't quite as robust as a lot of ghost hunting equipment, but and in and of itself, is it determinate? No, but it could be an indicator that there's some kind of energetic flux around, and as we may find out throughout the course of the show, that may mean something or may not. But you will see if you look on the Ghost Radar. I'm going to move my mouse over it. This is the actual radar. So in the middle is me. Because right next to my legs below my desk is my computer tower that is using the wireless. So it's sending out around here.
Call that?
What?
The thing?
Hey. So anything you see around here, if it's above this line on the top hemisphere of this circle, that'll be on the other side of the room, past the camera and stuff. That should be over there.
Oh.
If it's on this side, that'll be over here. And if it's way over here on the other side, that's outside, actually. That means something's outside the window, which is all kinds of creepy. But I got a big blackout curtain on it, so we won't be able to see it anyway. So that's how this works. This is just the normal activity. Up here is where you'll see this spikes. If this starts spiking, if it does detect something, you will see colored dots on here. The red is the most powerful energetic presence, allegedly. The lighter the color, the less potent the energetic presence is. So you will see this bar on top go crazy and a dot appear. If the dot doesn't appear, that means it's right on top of me or something. And last show on Saturday, when it went off, that's when Skype actually shut itself off.
Really?
It went off, and I'm like, well, it's not on radar. And I said, unless it's right on top of me. And then next thing you know, it's like, wait, where's the bumper music? And I looked, and Skype had shut down. So kind of bizarre. Is it, again, determinant of paranormal activity? Not in and of itself, but it's something. So I just thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to include on the live shows, because it's kind of investigating in real time in a sense. Last Saturday I also put up my K2 back here.
Oh yeah.
But it's too hard to see. You can hardly see it. So
jeez.
Because I have to look at my monitor and the camera, and I'm reading, so I couldn't pay attention to it anyway. So I didn't bother today. So that's the way it works. But this is the news, and consider this the weather.
Oh man, you just had to say that, didn't you? Because that's what's on my mind right now.
The weather's on your mind because of the winter warning.
Yeah, we're supposed to get another inch to 3 inches, or inch to 3 inches between 4 a.m. and 8 or noon tomorrow.
Fa on inches.
What do you mean fa?
Yeah.
Fa.
I'm going Yiddish on you, Don.
Yeah, well, the thing is you may get 2 or 3 inches here. I'll get 4 or 5 out there.
Well, that's the way it should work.
No, it's not fair. Stop it.
Sorry,
I'm telling Mom. Mom.
Hey, Mom understands. Mom didn't raise her boy to be dragging no shovels. All right, so let's get to the news and find out what I curated for your interest tonight. All right, the first one.
Like he's some curator.
Well, I'm a news aficionado. I'm a freaking anchor here, Don. Just
I'd
ask
be
the
a
missus.
Freaking anchor too. You throw me in the water, I'll drag you down.
Just ask the missus. All right, here we go. The first article of news up for discussion tonight, and this is kind of a weird one. It kind of reminds me of the day after chili night.
Oh my gosh. Taco Bell. Oh my God.
Unexplained-mysteries.com, great site. Please support what they're doing. I just love this site. It's amazing. Please check them out and stop over there and to check out all their offerings. But the first article that they posted from March 1st, tiny insect uses its butt to shoot pee droplets at super fast speeds.
Supersonic pee.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? I swear I've experienced that. You thought I was joking about that whole chili night. No, I wasn't. Researchers have discovered that a species of cicada exhibits the first and only known example of super propulsion in nature. I beg to differ. I would like to be considered in that rating. A great deal of time and effort has been spent over the years understanding how insects eat and drink, but far less has been spent determining how they urinate and defecate.
Who the hell cares?
Right, they do in the end. I think that's enough research.
I need $1.5 million for research.
Yeah.
I need that grant, dang it.
Now a team of researchers studying a type of cicada known as the glassy-winged sharpshooter, Don.
Oh, wow.
Apparently they're really good aim with it, too. Have discovered that this unassuming insect has a rather novel trick up its sleeve.
That's not a novel trick.
Measuring a mere 1.2 centimeters in length, the insect's diet consists of 95% water and only 5% nutrients, meaning that it needs to urinate the equivalent of 300 times its own body weight every day. Wow.
I do that too. That's why I never sleep.
Impressively, it does this by excreting single droplets and then catapulting them large distances at remarkable speeds using a special structure on its rear end.
Oh, boy.
So, I don't even know. So great is the force at which droplets are pinged away that the insect is now thought to be the only known insect capable of super propulsion, which is when an elastic projectile moves faster than its launch pad due to the way it sinks its motions, a bit like a diver on a springboard.
Okay.
Oftentimes we overlook excretion because it's taboo or silly.
No.
But it's a critical biological function.
It is.
Akin to feeding that has an important energetic, ecological, and evolutionary implications. Really? How does that math work?
How fast can you pee? You'd never believe it.
Said study author Elio Chalita of the Georgia Institute of Technology. What started as a curious observation of an unusual peeing mechanism uncovered the first example of super propulsion in a biological organism. Well, there you go, Don.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't know what the hell to do with that, but apparently, it'd be akin to like going out the back porch for a leak, and then you hit your neighbor's siding. I don't know. No,
because mine's only 1.5 too. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, I could have gone all day without hearing that. I didn't need to know that measurement. Well, there you go. That's the first one up tonight, ladies and gentlemen. As disturbing as it turned out, it is news. You might not have known that before today. So you're welcome.
It's certainly not news you can use.
I don't know what we're doing, huh? All right, let's go to the next.
Can you fling your pee? Well, I'll have you know.
I've nearly chipped the porcelain, Don. All right, let's go to the next one here. And this is also from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this article is apparently a new Easter Island Moai statue discovered in dried up lake bed.
Oh, wow.
Well, they found a new one. That's cool. Like, that's all that's left there is those moai. So the find, which has been described as very important, not as important as peeing cicadas, apparently, could be, in fact, the first of many such discoveries. A small landmass of only 60 square miles, Easter Island has remained something of an enigma for years.
Decades, hundreds of years.
Its army of strange stone statues and the fate of its original inhabitants are a mystery that continues to draw both intrigue and puzzlement. In total, there are over 1,000 such statues, known as moai, spread across the island, at which with most experts now agreeing they were built between 1250 AD and 1500 AD. Mm-hmm. As it turns out, however, there are still more of them hidden on the island just waiting to be found. One such discovery was made just recently when a team of researchers unearthed a previously unseen moai that had been buried at the bottom of a dried-up lake bed. What's more, it's thought that the same location could also yield further statue finds. For the Rapa Nui people, it's a very, very important discovery, said Salvador Atanhito, vice president of Mau Henua, a group that oversees the island's national park, because it's there in the lake and nobody knows it exists. Even the ancestors, our grandparents don't know about that one.
Huh.
What do you mean grandparents? I mean, didn't all the inhabitants just die, or did they boat away? What happened?
Well, there's some theories about that.
Right.
They think there may have been a big massacre there. One island was feuding with the other island, the bird people, and it gets involved. But
okay,
it's a crazy history if you look into it.
Okay, well that could be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about it at all.
It's Roanoke.
Roanoke. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have no clue. I can't figure that one out. That one's
Roanoke or this one?
This one.
Yeah, Roanoke's also a mystery.
Well, yeah, I can't figure that one out either.
Yeah, if you could, you're in the wrong line of work.
Exactly.
Just for the record,
I should be on Gaia.
You should be. I know a guy. Probably help you get there.
I know somebody who programs for Gaia.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Somebody
nice.
Just met him.
Very cool. All right, so let's continue on here. We got more, folks. There's more, but wait, there's more. And this next one is also from
Moa.
Moar. M-O-A-R.
Moron.
Moar. All right, here's the next article up from unexplained-mysteries.com. Mystery surrounds reports of powder falling from the sky over the U.S.
Okay. Did they shoot a Chinese balloon down?
I don't know. Maybe it was inside of them.
Maybe it's what was left over from burning that PVC in Ohio.
Cocaine bear.
Oh my God. No wonder I feel so good.
I just feel so energetic. All right, let's see what's going on in this situation. Mysterious powder falling from the sky over the U.S. That is a bit concerning. I know that it's like everybody's gotten sick lately, so I don't know what's going on. Several mid-Atlantic states over the East Coast saw reports of a dust-like powder falling from the sky last week. I think you're right. I mean, geez, that sounds about right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Concerns were also raised on Thursday when residents of Maryland, Northern Virginia, and West Virginia began reporting that a strange powder had started settling on top of their vehicles. So numerous were the reports that the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection decided to launch its own investigation into the phenomena. Well, way to get on that.
Yeah.
One of its main goals was to determine if the powder could be dust from storms in Texas and New Mexico that later traveled east into Ohio, Michigan, and Kentucky.
Gosh.
Now everyone is concerned that this explanation holds up. However, with some blaming the release of toxic chemicals from a train derailment in eastern Ohio, and others maintaining that the powder had been dropped by overflying airplanes. Authorities have moved to dismiss such claims, leading to a number of conspiracy theories circulating into social media and general need for more definitive concrete explanation. As things stand, officials have downplayed any need for concern and that there is so far no evidence to suggest that the powder is toxic or dangerous in any way. Well, I would beg to differ. I think any powder in the air is probably not good to be breathing. It kind of goes against how our lungs work. That's how people people get COPD.
So here's something interesting. Okay.
Can I read the last sentence? Even so, this one's a mystery that authorities will be keen to resolve as quickly as possible. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I have to get on a soapbox about this. Okay. See, because what happened was you heard about the first derailment, right? That train was carrying like polyvinyl chloride or something like that. So PVC, it was liquid.
Sure.
And then I guess there was an activator in it. So anyhow, it hardened and became PVC. Then they decided to burn it.
Right.
And then apparently it went up in this cloud and it came back down as acid rain.
Right.
Well, see, the problem is also they look up dioxins and look up how much dioxin it takes to kill you.
Not much, right?
And then, okay, so you take an aspirin tablet, divide it into 32,000 pieces, and one of those pieces of dioxin is enough to kill you.
Oof.
Now, consider this. It just blew all over the breadbasket of America.
Drop your mic, Don.
Plunk. So, do you think we might have some problems with food this year?
I
hope not.
I hope not too.
I hope not.
Yeah, that's some frightening stuff for sure. I don't know anything about this stuff really, but that kind of anytime you burn a toxic chemical, of course there's going to be stuff that goes up in the sky. And if it goes up in the sky, what else is in the sky? Clouds.
Yep.
What happens when that mixes with water? Well, it becomes toxic water.
It catches it and sends it back down.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's going to come back down. And I don't know that there's any good case scenario in any of this, but it's literally very, very concerning, very frightening stuff. Wow. Well, let's hope they come up with a plan to scrub this stuff out of there.
But the thing is, though, is that dioxin's half-life is so long that there are spills from 100 years ago that you still can't walk across the land.
So dioxin's half-life is longer than our whole life.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
Can I throw the mic?
No.
So, but anyhow,
don't.
Status Quo News. Oh, yeah, okay.
What's that?
Status Quo News. Yeah, they're another, they're actually kind of a...
They're actually news?
Yeah. News.
Is that what you're going to say, Don?
Anyhow. Well, I got Farm backing me up, so that's all I need.
Well, that's all you need because Farm knows his stuff.
Farm knows his stuff, yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to health and well-being. I don't know of a more learned person personally, but let's get to the next article because we've got a real problem here, folks. As we were stating when this whole idea started, this is just a ploy for more funding for government. Well, here you go from unexplained-mysteries.com. Senators slam lack of funding for Pentagon's new UFO office.
Is this Schumer?
I don't know. God, it's just frustrating. It's like, really? We don't have bigger problems?
Yeah, right.
We probably should put more resources there. Until recently, the latest incarnation of the Pentagon's UFO investigation office reportedly had only 3 full-time staff members.
Yeah.
Known as the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. That's a new one. Arrow, yeah, whatever. Yeah. The latest effort by government officials to investigate the UFO phenomena was set up last year as a replacement to the earlier Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, or UAPTIF, or TF.
That was the Louis...
Yeah, Louis Elizondo's, yep. Which claimed to standardize the collection and reporting of UFO sightings. Now, though, a group of 16 U.S. senators, headed up by Republican Marco Rubio.
Wow.
And Democrat Kristen Gillibrand, whatever it is, Gillibrand, I guess, have sent a joint letter to the Pentagon warning that the office faces a funding shortfall that will impede its ability to fulfill its mission.
No kidding. Why is that surprising to anybody? I don't even know what to say. Of course.
Keep saying it.
I'm trying. But of course it's going to create serious problems. They don't even do anything, though. They just redact a bunch of papers that have nothing on it. They just take a blank piece of paper and redact it.
It's like a bunch of kids with markers. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, color this.
Things are so bad, in fact, that the AARO reportedly had only 3 full-time staff members until very recently. They have a couple of extra helping hands, but it's a small office in Crystal City, Virginia, said one source. However, I suspect they are in the process of bringing more on board. I got an idea. Borrow some of those positions from the IRS, maybe.
No doubt. Right?
Let's steer those into UFO research instead.
I got a better idea. Why don't they just hire us? Because I could take a blank piece of paper and draw black lines.
You can put black lines on anything. Yeah.
There you go.
Don, that might be the perfect job description for you.
Brilliant. What do? I redact papers.
Another source who visited the office, meanwhile, described it as a cave of winds.
Cave of winds? Like broken wind?
Mostly empty desks, but there are perhaps 4 to 6 people around, as I recall.
Oh, my goodness.
Including Sean, director Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and his deputy, they said. It's certainly true that AARO did not receive adequate funds to support its work, to include money for R&D. What are they R&Ding? New binoculars? Research and development and analysis. Whether the letter will help secure additional support for the office, however, remains to be seen. I don't know what they need for their R&D. It's like, really? I'm sure the military has some good scopes and stuff you could use. That are probably just sitting in surplus anyway. I mean, really, how much do you need to fund this stuff? This is such a wasteful thing. I don't know. I don't trust it.
That's why I say hire me.
Hire Don.
I'll take $250,000 a year.
$250 a year.
$250 a year.
Don can
$250.
redact like a son of a gun.
$250.
There you go.
I'll bring my own damn Sharpies. I'll get the wedge chiseled pickups.
Yeah. Bring your own Sharpie.
Zoop. Zoop.
There you go.
Zoop. Oh, should I put the word "and" there? Oh, and zoop and zoop. Okay, gotcha.
As blank. Yeah. Why not? Just leave those little words so people think they're getting something.
Right.
There we go. All right. Well, there you go. More government hard at work, folks. You got that going for you.
There's a good idea. Luna Moonicorn says researching which permanent marker redacts the best. Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah, which one makes the most robust black lines? I'm voting Sharpies. I don't think anybody's got it on Sharpies.
I gotta agree. But I'd rather, I think a silver paint pen would be nice.
A silver paint pen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Rachel said the exact same thing.
Did she?
Yeah.
She gets it right. So.
Well, she had it right before me, I'm sure.
Oh, probably. All right, here's the next one. And this one has to do our quest for life on the surface of Mars, folks. And so, God only knows. We got to figure out what's going on in Mars.
Right.
All right, so finding life on Mars may be impossible with today's rovers from unexplained-mysteries.com from February 26th. New research has called into question whether today's Mars rovers are capable of finding signs of long-dead microbial life. The discovery that there was once life on the red planet, most likely during a time in the distant past when Mars was covered in rivers and oceans, could be one of the most important scientific discoveries in the history of human civilization. Why? Why is that more important than any other discovery? I don't know either. Actually, finding such evidence using today's rovers, however, may not be plausible. Well, okay.
Well, let's send Elon.
Let Elon take care of it. My God.
Gosh, yeah.
He'll be there building condos by the time they get another rover there.
He already does.
Yeah. Well, that's true. We've heard the stories. In a new study, scientists conducted a series of tests in Chile's Atacama Desert that involved using the same instruments currently aboard NASA's 2 Mars rovers to see if they could pick up signs of microbial life in sedimentary rocks known to contain such evidence.
Well, that's where they faked the Mars landings, right?
Probably.
Landings.
Probably.
So,
I don't know if that's true or not. The findings indicated that the instruments simply weren't capable of detecting them. Ultimately, it seems that the only way we're going to be able to conclusively confirm the existence of ancient microbial life on the red planet with today's technology is to send samples from Mars back to Earth so they can be analyzed in a fully equipped laboratory. You need to decide whether it's more advantageous having limited capability for analysis on the surface of Mars to interrogate what? Who writes this
Line
stuff?
them up.
A wide variety of samples, of having limited samples to be analyzed with the wide variety of state-of-the-art instrumentation on Earth, said study co-lead Alberto G. Ferrin, I guess. That source was Live Science. I don't know. I mean, let's let's look at some of the structures there, like perfectly square foundations that somehow exist
Right.
in the natural surroundings.
You know, it always baffles me how people can say, "Oh, we're finding all these things. You know, the rovers are doing a great job. They're finding proof of microbial,
Yep.
bacterias that are surviving. You know,
Right.
blah blah blah." And now all of a sudden they're not good enough anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, technology does move fast. I'll give them that.
Yeah, but if we're finding it, so this is like, why can't we go back to the moon? Because we don't have the technology? What? So if the technology was working 5 years ago, why isn't it working now, barring any, failure in equipment?
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know.
Kind of strange, folks, but you know what this equals? More funding. We need more funding. That's exactly what this.
Oh boy!
I need to take that vacation in Hawaii. Yeah, I don't know.
12 Pearl says, "Why is going to Mars better than having peace, prosperity, and no world hunger?"
Exactly.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the answer. Ohio train derailments. Nobody gives a crap anymore. They just burn this crap, let it go into the air, fall back down, contaminate everything,
but
and
wait,
kill it all.
Don, we need to find if there's microbes that existed 1 million years ago on Mars. That's way more important than the millions of people affected by a train derailment. Come on.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah, I know. It's actually
the
tragic.
problem is we're never going to find peace, prosperity, and no hunger because they're going to keep dropping this crap on us.
Okay, let's not get demonetized.
Anyhow, so
all right. So
I say we go back to Mars.
some might say is what you mean, Don, right?
Yes.
Some might say
Some might say yes, Cicada Pete.
we are just dancing all over the guidelines tonight. Let's go to the next article from unexplained-mysteries.com, and this one's kind of interesting, Don. I think this will be the last one.
Sorry.
But this one's actually from the archives, and I pulled this one up last week.
Oh.
Never got to it, but
Sweet.
what a cool story.
Wow.
Now, I really think that we will probably unlock a lot of benefits from our natural world that we haven't even considered yet. And this is a great story to kind of set that up. And this is coming from 2009. World of the Bizarre on unexplained-mysteries.com. Spider bite helps paralyzed man walk. A man in California who had been paralyzed for 20 years following a motorcycle crash found that he was able to walk again after being bitten by a deadly brown recluse spider.
A brown recluse, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you know about the brown recluse spider, you know its bite can be deadly, but for one California man, the bite helped him walk again. David Blancart was paralyzed 20 years ago in a motorcycle crash. In 2007, he was bitten by a brown recluse spider outside his Manteca home. And that's all they're giving us.
That's all. Yeah, that's all. This is.
Well, that's really cool, though.
Hold on.
Huh?
Let me see here. David B. Lan Blancart.
Blancarty.
Blancarty. Spider bite.
Yep.
Let's see here.
That's the one.
Venomous spider bite. The week. Good News Network. Let's go there. Oh, there's even a video. Let's see here. So, 21 years. But it doesn't really give us any more information.
Well, but here's the thing. I know I've heard of like people dealing with other debilitating diseases have used even like bee stings
Right, yeah.
to help treat
Right.
those affected limbs. And apparently it does something to really change the circulation, or maybe it's the actual venom itself can be therapeutic. And so I think these things are kind of amazing. This is the first time I've ever heard of a beneficial brown recluse bite, but apparently it's there. And what did it do? How did it do it? That's the kind of stuff we need to be studying, not microbes, ancient microbes on Mars.
Well, let's not get too hasty about it.
Well, I mean,
I really want to hear about Mars, but
but
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What benefits mankind more if we can figure out natural remedies that can actually heal debilitating diseases and injuries, or that there used to be protozoa on Mars? It's like, I think most people believe, or many people believe anyway, that Mars probably hosted some kind of an atmosphere with water. I think that's kind of a foregone conclusion. Somehow it lost its atmosphere and is since become a dead planet. But I don't think there's any argument that it had an atmosphere, it had water, it had rivers. And okay, does finding microbial life on Mars outweigh something like this? And that's my question.
There you go. Yeah.
So I don't know, this kind of stuff. Yeah, Ruthie says eat your flesh off. Yeah, they are, and they do produce like necrotic tissue, and they can be horrible. They can be lethal for some people if you have an allergic reaction to that venom, and your body just can't heal it, and it just spreads and spreads and spreads, and it can kill entire limbs. So I don't know, but to hear that this guy somehow managed to be able to walk again after being paralyzed, that's incredible. So very cool story. I don't know what happened with it. I don't know what more there is to it, but there you have it. You might not have heard that before. You're welcome. This is the beauty of the Paranormal Portal news. So, all right, that's going to wrap up our news festival fun for tonight. So let's get back to the rest of the show.
Yes. Hit it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it here in the main portal desk. Maggie says, I used to dress wounds with maggots, larvae, and they're called little surgeons. Yeah, if you watch a movie Gladiator, when Russell Crowe has that septic wound on his shoulder, and that guy uses those maggots and then some kind of nut that he chews up and dresses it. I mean, those are ancient wisdoms, and they're brilliant because why not utilize nature?
Yeah.
You know, nature does its job much better than pharmaceuticals in many cases. Not in all cases, though. I think that many amazing things have come as a result of modern medicine. I don't mean to disparage that, but I think we don't need to forget those ancient wisdoms.
Well, but
in light of the new possibilities.
Sure enough. But remember though, and other things. I mean, so they I'm referring to a report I saw regarding music and dementia patients, specifically Alzheimer's.
Oh, right. I think I read that.
So they started playing the music from the era of this guy's younger years, and it brought him to life again. He knew the songs.
Right.
He knew what was going on around him and could interact again. Yeah. This guy hadn't really interacted for, I guess, a long, long time. I don't know if it was months or years, but they started playing music from his childhood and everything changed. So, just even that kind of thing, music is cathartic. I don't care who you are. Yeah.
Yep. Imagine the music they'll play for us when we've lost our brains.
Oh, my God.
Don's be like, I'm like, oh yeah,
that's what it was.
Start headbanging.
I know what that means.
Yep. For me, it'd probably be Kiss. That was my childhood band. That was
God, is he having a seizure? No, he's headbanging. It was a thing in the 80s.
Don starts moshing in the nursing home. Crowd surfing. bunch of crippled people.
Knocking over wheelchairs. Little old ladies in walkers.
It could be a train wreck, but we'll try it, Don, if you ever get there, okay?
All right, yeah.
We'll bring you back. All right, so Don's a 90-year-old mosh pit. There's a whole bunch of scared seniors in the home with them.
Come on, Martha, let's do this.
Turn that crap off. All right, so we got a lot more to go here tonight.
Fishbone, yeah, fishbone would be good.
Fishbone.
The
ghost radar's been quiet since you've been here, Don.
It has. I scare everything away.
What? No, Don, that's only women.
Like I said, everything away.
Oh, sorry. That was the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
It was just easy. All right, so
That's what she said.
ooh, hey. All right, so we got a lot more to go. Next up, we're going to be heading to a new feature that we've been doing on the show that I'm really, really kind of proud of. I love the interactions, and I love what you guys are bringing to the table with this. And of course, I'm speaking of the Discord question of the week. All right, everybody, welcome to the Discord question of the week as we dive into yet another question. And tonight's question is courtesy of K-Love, who's a wonderful person and has just really been engaging in this chat community as well. And thank you so much for helping, because honest to God, your questions make my job so much easier, because I'm literally sitting here for 20 minutes or so going, what can I ask? What didn't I ask? What have I asked? And I get confused, and I'm thinking, God, did I already ask that? So because I'm not very organized. So thank you so much for the question, K-Love. I really appreciate it. And it's a great question. This is an event. Don, first of all, could you put a link in the chat for the Discord?
People, yes.
We'd love to have you, anybody that's not in our Discord community, join the Discord community and get involved in these discussions.
Or else.
So, no, there's never any overkill. Don't ever apologize for that. That's exactly what this Discord is for.
There, I just spammed it in there.
Okay, Don spammed the link for any of you that are using Discord or would like to use Discord. How to join our server, that's it right there. That's the link. At least today it's the link. Those links are not evergreen.
Change, yeah.
They're not evergreen. How many times did you blast it, dude?
I told you, so I spammed it.
Yeah, but holy God, it's like you got like finger Tourette's there. Paste.
My finger stuttered.
Yeah. So that's the link to get involved. And ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about is right here.
Oh, that's why.
What?
So at work, the boss said, we're going to have a pie. We're going to have a day where you bring in your favorite pie. I think it's going to be March 14th. I just realized somebody, Rachel says, is it March 14th Pie Day? Now I know why. Now it's like, oh,
clever.
Now I get it.
Clever.
Isn't he just a smart guy?
Yeah, apparently. Apparently he's working way above the pay grade there.
Apparently so.
All right, so here is the Discord, ladies and gentlemen, and the segment involves every time we do a live stream, unless we've got a guest or a special program scheduled, there will be a question, if I'm doing my job, in here that you guys can respond to. And it's in the thread called Questions of the Week right here. And, it'll be about various paranormal or Fortean topics, just to see what you guys think, because nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure what's going on with any of this stuff, no matter what some people claim out there. Trust me when I tell you there are no experts, because I'm not an expert. And if I'm not an expert, nobody is.
Nobody can be.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Incredibles.
You know what? Yeah, you know what they mean when you know what it means when everybody's special.
Nobody is. So the idea is that I'm posing these questions throughout the course of the shows. You always hear what I think. You always hear my input, or Don's or Sheldon's and such. And this is an opportunity for you guys to weigh on this and let us know what you think, because I have to honestly say, and this is no cap at all. It's just that I have learned new ways.
Did you use the word cap?
Yeah, it's kind of a trendy. I'm trying to be trendy, Don. But I've learned new ways of looking at some of the stuff just because of your guys' comments. Right, yeah. And so it really helps to expand, because I can only think about what's in here. And when you guys put other ideas in there, it's like, wow, that's a great angle. I'd never considered that. So thank you guys so much. So the question of the week this time, Don, is...
Oh, hold on. I had to switch over. Question of the week, Wednesday show from K-Love. What is everyone's thoughts on the Philadelphia experiment with time travel? What do you believe these events? What do you believe?
Do you believe these?
Do you believe? There you go. Do you believe these events happened? Thank you, K-Love. Thank you, K-Love. So Storm 00 says, I do believe something happened. What exactly is up for debate? I think it must have been more an experiment for a cloaking device, not time travel. Why use a big ship to try to try time travel when it would be safer in a more controlled warehouse environment if that was the goal.
True.
There was a TV show on. What the hell was it called? It only lasted like 2, maybe 3 seasons. Timeless. It's called Timeless. And they got into this vehicle that looked like an eye, oddly enough. They get in it, 3 of them get in it, and they time travel, right? They go back to the Hindenburg. They go back to Warner von Braun launching the X2, the original X2s back in German days, Nazi days, basically. The question is what could they have changed or whatnot? But anyhow, it only lasted so long. But where the hell was I going with that?
Because you said a warehouse.
Warehouse. Because that in that show, it's in a warehouse. It's in a secure environment until they get to where they're going. Because it's like, did you ever see The Time Machine by Orson Welles?
I did years and years and years.
And so the time machine goes with him.
Yeah.
So he gets out of it. So it's in the spot where the Eloy and the Morlock can find it, or anybody for that matter. So but you start out in a controlled warehouse and go from there. Makes sense, right?
Right.
So why not? But why would they? Well, I think it has to do with they figured they could get so far out into the ocean that nobody would find them.
Well, yeah. I mean, the idea, I think, was developed to try to avoid ships showing up on radar.
Right. And it was cloaking. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
but
I don't think they intended time travel, but the claims is that they at least went transdimensional, possibly.
Right. And there's only one person who's actually ever said that they time traveled. Actually, one person who said 2 people did it.
Yes.
We'll get to that later. So Artemis RF says the Philadelphia experiment is part of our military history. It was certainly an event that did occur. I don't believe that time travel was the goal or related to the goal. We can't even be sure that time travel was involved in any way. All we know for sure is that something horribly went wrong and on a massive scale. This was more than just a miscalculation by some engineer. They were messing with something that they didn't know that they had tapped into, which is really just the nature of science. Even if all the records were fully released and unredacted, there's that word, I don't believe we'll ever have an explanation for what happened. Simply because we weren't on that ship. Exactly. Yeah. History is written by the victors and the survivors. Mostly the victors, unless they are also the only survivors. But in this case, we have no survivors. We only have the data obtained from the witnesses and after the fact analysis. The Philadelphia experiment will go down as one of the greatest scientific mysteries that can never be truly resolved, only speculated.
Uh-huh. Wow, great take.
Let's see. So Caleb says, thanks for posting my question. I enjoy hearing everyone's feedback. After watching the Netflix show Stranger Things and also Dark, our mind keeps wondering about the decommissioned military base Camp Hero in Montauk. Two separate things, but you're right. A few months ago, I bought a DVD through Amazon, the Philadelphia Experiment documentary, because you can't rent it any longer. It's very interesting to hear these guys talk about Camp Hero, how Camp Hero is connected to the study of the big military ships that time travel. They tell the story of the time travel and show pics. The one guy claims to be related to Aleister Crowley, if I remember right. And these men were interviewed back in the 1980s, so it's not the best picture and is 3 hours and 33 minutes long. My husband fell asleep 1 hour in, but I watched it to the end. We live in Connecticut, which is about 3 hours away from Montauk. Do I think time travel is possible? Yes.
Very cool.
And then she's got a bunch of links in there, which are very, very interesting to check out. Shepherdess said, I had no idea, but I'll just say it's so fascinating. And there's so much we don't fully understand, at least as lay people, regarding how reality actually functions, i.e. how things are wired behind the curtains, so to speak. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm going to skip that because it has to do with Montauk. More links. Opal Demetria?
Demetria.
Demetria. Opal Demetria. I think the experiment was real, the development of some kind of device that renders a ship invisible. The military is always figuring out ways to be less visible, yes. Mm-hmm. I'm currently reading a book on Montauk, and one of the authors, Peter Moon, is a scientist and even has a website up for time travel education. Some courses are free. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. Kind of scary. If it's true, it's in the hands of those in the military and the government, which makes it very scary. Chucky Danger. I don't know anything about the Philadelphia experiment itself, but I've pondered the thought of time travel all day at work. I've heard it said that even if you could go back in time, you aren't going back to your past. You would essentially be creating a divergent timeline with a whole new set of experiences. However, I think time travel falls into the realm of trying to play God, and I don't think that real time travel should be allowed in the cosmic law. Mm. So yeah, that's kind of what the movie with the Infinity Stones.
Oh yeah.
Endgame. That's kind of what they were saying in Endgame when they were talking about when Bruce Banner was talking to
Tony Stark.
No, Tilda's character, the Supreme Sorcerer Supreme before Strange. He was talking to her, and she was explaining that this is what's going to happen or what can happen. Mm-hmm. Not so much you go back in your time, but you create a new timeline because of it. So yeah, different things. Lots of different ideas, and it's really hard to talk about time travel because there's so much mystery behind it, so much that we can't understand.
Right.
Now, if I remember correctly, Al Bielek, I mentioned him earlier. Al Bielek was on the Eldritch, USS Eldritch, yes. And he said that him and his brother, at the time he didn't know it was his brother. This is where I start doubting these things.
Right.
Jumped off the boat. They were jumped off the boat while it was going through its phasing, and it ended up in 1984 in Montauk. So we're talking 40 years into the future. Mm. And they had him at Montauk for a while. I can't remember. But Montauk was about Farseeing. What's it called? Farseeing. Why can't I remember anything tonight? Because it's hump day. Clairvoyance, looking into the future, looking into the past. I don't know. I can't, for some reason, I can't conjure the word.
Okay.
Yeah, remote viewing. Thank you, Luna Moonicorn. Thank you, remote viewing. So basically, they went from a cloaking, interdimensional shifting. They jumped off and they ended up 40 years into the future in Connecticut, in a program that's doing remote viewing.
Oh, okay.
And then I don't think they ever made it back. I can't remember if the story said they went it back.
Didn't one of them go to like 1,000 some years in the future though?
Yeah, there was some of that going on too.
Yeah, there was all kinds of astronomical claims.
Yeah, so
way distant future and stuff. But...
I'm not really. Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. Well, I stopped in this and stopped in this year and got whipped back to. I'm like, whoa.
Right. Whoa. Yeah, I know. It sounded like one of them like hopscotched around and then came back or came to a fixed point. I don't remember how it went.
Yeah. Pharmacy said one came back as a different person.
Oh, there you go. Body snatchers.
Mentally, he came back as a different person, like he had been reborn, and then separated from his previous life. Oh. One of those weird things. Oh. So I have a real problem with that story, though.
Yeah, it's hard to grab onto. It's such moving goalposts on those because how do you test against that?
Right.
How do you get to a truth and how do you quantify a truth from that? It's a claim.
And the problem is because it's these secret secret government programs, we're just going to get black marker anyhow. You know,
redacted.
It's never going to come out.
We're going to get redacted done.
But then again, you know, you got to remember though, the Russians have been working with remote viewing for decades.
Project Stargate.
Yep.
There's a podcast Wes and I did on that.
Yep.
On our playlist, if you want to check it out.
It was good too.
Yeah, it was very good. There's a lot of background information, a lot of interviews that we put up on that. It was a fantastic episode. So we do have a caller, and I want to get to this because it may have something to do with this topic. So let's see what's going on. And this is area code 228. You're on the air.
Good evening, Brent and Don and everybody.
Hi.
This is Pearl.
Yes,
Hi,
ma'am.
Pearl. How you doing?
This really does pertain to the subject.
Oh, perfect.
And you know, I've not shared this with too many people, but you know, I'm not going to live forever.
Sure.
And you know, I'm not ill or passing away right now, but you know, we're not guaranteed life forever.
Right.
But you know, I had done lots and lots of research, and my father at one time, as kids, we watched him levitate a Bama jelly glass off the dining room table.
Wow.
And we were somewhat participants in it as well. Okay, he was exploring mind over matter, telekinesis, and he had done lots of research in paranormal psychology. But to get more to the point, you know, I had wondered all my life, well, how did he do it? You know, and I'd experiment with things when I was a teenager myself, and it is possible to levitate objects without illusions, without technology, with, you know, and I could only deduce it was the powers of good or the powers of evil that you could accredit to that. That's the only common sense I could make out of it in my experiences in life. But this refers to the subject of, you know, the Philadelphia experiment, teleportation, you know, and I had watched two of the guys, you know, to speak about their experiences, you know, and Montauk. And it was rare video footage I had come across. But the reason I had a curiosity about it is because not only due to my father dabbling in things, you know, I was coming back. I was just outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana on I-10. And I had pulled off of the Gonzales, Louisiana exit, and I was on I-10 and I was headed east. And if you go east on I-10, you know, just outside of Baton Rouge, you're going to run into a town called Laplace. And Laplace is where Interstate 55 jumps across and intersects with Interstate 12. Okay, and on to 10 again, or 12, take your pick. But I'm a little confused in that. I'm a little nervous about telling this. It's a very truthful story. I've not shared it with too many people. But, you know, Brent, I grew used to talking with you. I shared my very first Bigfoot experience with you. And it's because I trusted you and you were easy to talk with.
Oh, thank you.
And I knew that I was calling into a place to where I wouldn't be ridiculed.
Right.
But this story right here that I'm going to tell you is a real life event. And I drive a pickup truck. It was an '08 GMC. And I had dropped my son off in Louisiana, and I was coming back from Gonzales, Louisiana, and I was just outside, you know, that's about 25 miles west of, you know, east of Baton Rouge by then. And on that strip of highway, there's very few exits. if you exit on that strip of highway headed towards Laplace, well, you know, you're either going to South Louisiana or North Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all of a sudden, my vehicle, all of a sudden, I ended up just outside of Jackson, Mississippi, without not a minute off of my clock on my truck, and no gas missing from my truck.
Wow.
And I pulled over to the nearest gas station. I didn't know where I was. I was distraught, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I was coherent when my truck landed on the highway. And I was pushing 75 still.
Wow.
I was pushing 75 in Baton Rouge.
Uh-huh.
And with less than a minute off the clock, I was pushing 75. And I was hundreds of miles away by then.
Oh, my gosh.
I went to the nearest gas station. I lit a cigarette. I sat there in my truck,
Mm-hmm.
and I finally got out, and I went into the gas station, and I said, I just felt like I was going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I felt, you know, I couldn't explain what had happened to me.
Sure.
I asked the lady, I said, excuse me, I think I've gotten a little turned around. Can you tell me where I'm at?
Uh-huh.
And she said, well, you're just outside of Jackson, Mississippi. Now, if you pull up Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Gonzales, Louisiana, just coming out of Gonzales, Louisiana on the interstate,
Mm-hmm.
and you are heading towards Laplace, Louisiana, okay,
Yeah.
you're going to see how, and then you Google Jackson, Mississippi, and how far it is from there to Jackson, Mississippi. Well, I was just outside of Jackson, Mississippi. I went back outside. I sat on the curb and smoked a cigarette for a little while,
I don't blame
just
you.
really not believing what had just happened to me.
Sure.
And I get back in my truck, you know, and there's no gas missing from my truck.
Wow.
None.
Was
you know, I'm disheveled. I'm thanking the good Lord above that I'm okay.
right?
I called home and said I'm going to be a couple more hours later than I planned to be home, because that took me far off course.
Okay, that was my next
Okay.
question. Was that's not where you wanted to be?
Yeah, because
Okay.
my destination was you know, near Biloxi, Mississippi.
Oh, geez.
Was where home was.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And Biloxi, Mississippi is roughly it's about 3.5 hours up the highway north to get to Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh my gosh.
When you're in Gonzales, Louisiana, it's 3 hours to get from dropping my son off to get back to Biloxi, Mississippi.
Wow.
That's how long it takes pushing 70, 75.
Jeez.
So all of a sudden, I had no recollection of being lifted off the highway in Louisiana. All I have a recollection of is landing on the highway, and I was heading east when I left the world,
Okay.
and I was headed south on Highway 49 when I landed, pushing 75.
Jeez.
And I mean, when I landed, my vehicle, when my tires hit the pavement, I was still doing 75.
But
and they didn't even screech. You know, there was traffic in front of me. There was traffic behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I was just totally, that's the most freaked out I have ever been in all my born days.
Right.
another incident coming back from dropping off my son. I was in between exits on the highway, and there was no way for other cars to come onto the highway. And I was the only vehicle on the highway. And within the blink of an eye, I had 25 cars all the way around me.
Wow.
And they would have had to have been pushing 150 or 200 miles an hour for that many cars to have been clustered around me all of a sudden in the middle of nowhere on a strip of interstate.
Yikes.
That nobody was around me. It's feasibly, physically impossible. So what happened to me, it cannot be, there is no other explanation except teleportation or God decided to save my life and put me way far out of my way from home.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it could be a divine intervention.
It's the most mind-boggling experience I had, other than one day I was at a three-way stop. I just pulled to a three-way stop locally, and my son was in the vehicle with me. And there was a red pickup truck to the left at a stop sign. It was a three-way stop. And I was facing south. That red truck was facing west. And it was my turn to go. And I started to pull over. And that red truck ran completely through my vehicle.
Oh.
And my son was trying to crawl in the back seat going, "Mom, that truck's running right through us."
Wow.
I didn't even, after it happened, I didn't look at my son and say, "Did you see that?"
Yeah.
I didn't have to because my son was trying to crawl in the back seat to get away from the truck that was going straight through my vehicle.
Wow.
And
sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, Brent.
Yeah, for sure.
And I could probably tell that story of being teleportated, and it can be deduced as a miracle, or we can deduce that perhaps teleportation has become very seriously highly advanced, more so than we know.
Sure, I mean...
Now, that's pure speculation on my part.
Right.
But as for me, I will never know whether, maybe one day I'll know if that was a miracle or that was actual teleportation, and I was just experimentation.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to know if it was done to you or if it was done with you or if you somehow facilitated that. That's the amazing part. What are we capable of? And I think that's kind of the cool possibility is that we are probably capable of amazing.
I am sharing
stuff.
with you the most mind-boggling experience I've ever had in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Imagine you just dropped off your son, you hit the interstate, you've got 3 hours to go to get to home, and you are automatically 200 miles or so away from where you were instantly.
Yeah.
No gas missing from your truck,
Yeah.
and maybe a minute off the clock by the time I thought to look at the clock.
Now, when you came back to that moment, you said you landed. Did you actually feel like as if you had jumped and your truck was actually like set down?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My truck was airborne and landed on Highway 49 with traffic behind me and traffic in front of me.
Wow. Makes you wonder if anyone else saw that, Did anyone else that was on the road see and go, where the hell did that come from?
Nobody skidded. Nobody. I don't know.
That's insane.
I wondered about that too.
Sure.
Lady came out of nowhere, that's for sure.
Yeah, like Evel Knievel just landed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's incredible. Wow.
But it's the most bizarre story, and I share it because I'm curious.
Yeah.
I want to know, has anyone else had mind-boggling experience like that in life?
Sure. I'm sure.
So your question, I'm not on Discord anymore. My laptop got hacked. Every time I go to Discord, I seem to have virus problems. So I'm not on your Discord, so forgive me.
Oh, it's
But, that question of the week is really important because it might just bring someone like me to tell your viewers and to tell the people in YouTube, and I love you all. But, your story is never too bizarre to call into the portal and discuss it with Brent and Don, folks.
No, thank you so much.
It's one story, Brent, that I bite my lip on, I bite my tongue on. It's not one that I'm just so anxious to share.
Sure.
Because, there's times when I know that miracles have happened and I've witnessed miracles, but I'm not, sure, perhaps God let me land safely, but who was flipping switches that transported me?
Yeah, it's hard to know, but I'm just glad it worked out okay. It's unfortunate that it brought you so far out of the way. It'd be really cool if that happened and you were home in 5 minutes instead of 3 hours.
Right.
That would have been really cool.
Wouldn't that have been the much better scenario?
Yeah, that'd be great because the 3 hour drive is like, oh man, 3 hours, but how you're home. But then you're hours out of the way as well. So it's like it's an incredible experience, and I'm glad that you're okay and everybody's okay. But it's a head scratcher. Yeah. But I'm honored that you decided to share it.
I believe that teleportation is real. There's people that have been taken up into UFOs, and
sure.
They've been dropped back down in their beds, and or in fields, and but I guess the reason I'm sharing, Brent, is if there's anyone out there who has had similar experiences of something like that happening to them, please share.
Oh yeah, please do. Yeah, I love those stories, and I'm really always honored when people share their stories here on the show because it's an incredible trust that you guys are putting in me, and so thank you so much, 12 Pearls. It's always wonderful to hear from you.
Well, I've just reached the point to where I don't care if anybody thinks I'm crazy or not, because it was either teleportation or it was a miracle,
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you are kind of crazy, so that's okay.
That's true.
You fit in perfectly here. So yeah, call in anytime you think of something.
The number you have reached is working just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's great to hear from you.
I love y'all.
All right.
All right.
You too.
Well, have a great evening.
Okay. Good night, 12 Pearls. See ya.
Wow.
Good night.
Yeah, that's crazy. I have to believe, though, that, it is possible to move like that.
Sure.
You've had your snow driving experience, when you were driving and, you were coming up to a bad stretch of road and then all of a sudden you were just through it.
Yep.
I've had a similar kind of thing here, coming up 95, coming home from Coeur d'Alene, in a deep snowstorm, and you're moving at 45 miles an hour because you don't know where anything is.
Right.
You hope the 45's slow enough too. And then all of a sudden you're home. You're like, it's really strange. Somebody said something about, I think it was Ninja Dave. Ninja Dave says, wow, similarities to what took me coming back from Clayton, Georgia. 4-hour drive turned into a 12-hour drive.
Oh my God.
So it sounds like he had a similar kind of experience in the sense of he wasn't going the way he was supposed to. It just took so long.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? You're like, I got 4 hours. And then all of a sudden you're somewhere else. You're like, I got 12 hours. Oh my God. I'd be so mad. It's like, don't prolong my agony.
Right. So he says, coming over the mountains on the 411 from Cherokee, North Carolina, I could see behind the screen like the glitch in a video game when you go behind the map screen.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and somebody postulated maybe she escaped from or into or out of a simulation at some point. Right. I thought the screen was seen behind. It looked like a 3D simulation, says Ninja Dave. Wow. So yeah, definitely crazy things do happen.
Well, that there's things like bilocation, there's things like teleportation that have been around forever. These are stories from way back in ancient Buddhism and
Right.
and Hindu and
Right.
many religions around the world talk about people that transport and disappear and reappear somewhere else. So it's probably something that is possible within the scope of reason. We just don't understand it.
Right.
If there was a knowledge of that at one time, we've lost it, and people stumble into it somehow. But I don't know. I don't know what caused it when it happened to me. And the only thing I'm really, really grateful for was that I wasn't alone when it happened.
Right.
Sheldon was there with me, and he noticed it first. Well, he didn't notice it first. He's just the first one that spoke.
He mentioned
It's
it.
like,
Yeah.
what just happened? And I'm
Right.
like, I don't know. It was to just recap quickly. Sheldon and I were driving in a terrible blizzard after dropping my middle son Oliver off, and we were coming back, and you could only go like 5 miles an hour. It was just whiteout conditions in the middle of a Minnesota winter. On the it's just high winds. You couldn't see anything, so we're going along, and I knew there was an S curve coming up, and I was really nervous because there's quite a big embankment on both because the S curve goes down through a valley of a bluff. And I was really nervous about it. And I'm like, God, it's coming up pretty quick. And the next thing I know, I see a sign says, welcome to, the next village. And I'm like, we shouldn't be here.
Not yet.
I hadn't turned the wheel at all for those S curves. So all of a sudden we were past it. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Right.
That's amazing. But I didn't feel anything. He didn't feel anything. It was just like,
You've arrived.
yeah, it was like in our
reached your
case,
destination.
it was, it was really, really amazing because it actually took us out of harm's way
Right.
and put us back in a safer spot.
Right.
And that was amazing. But in these other situations that Ninja Dave and 12 Pearls are talking about, it took them all the way out of their way
Right.
and dumped them off, in just a random spot somewhere far away. And that would be maddening because, I know I had it was supposed to be like a 40-minute drive or 30-minute drive that turned into about an hour and a half as it was.
Right.
But if I had to tack another 3 hours or something onto it, driving in that blizzard, I would have been absolutely furious. I was like, no. But it's a cool situation. I've experienced it. Didn't feel anything, much like what 12 Pearls was saying. Nothing. I had no observations other than the fact that, wait, I shouldn't be here. Why am I here?
Right.
Why are we here? And so it was just really cool. But
Not the existential question, why are we here?
no.
The
just
actual physical question,
yeah,
how the hell did we
location.
get here?
It was
Right,
like
right.
we're way back here, and next thing I know, we're a couple miles ahead on the road,
Right.
and and totally avoided that spot. So it was just really incredible. But again, I really appreciate you guys sharing those stories because I'd never heard of anybody having that experience back when I did. This is well before I had a show, years and years before I had a show. So. I was only exposed to what I could find and see and
Right.
and read about, but then to hear you guys have had those experiences too is just like, wow, that's amazing. Something amazing is going on here. And that's why I love this topic. I love the paranormal. So that's going to wrap up the Discord question of the week. So if you want to get involved, please join the Discord link. It'll bring you, it should bring, if you have a Discord, it'll bring you right into the server and you'll be welcome there from then on. But if you haven't used Discord yet, there is a tutorial section in our Discord server, so we'd love to have you get involved. So, all right, that's going to wrap up the Discord question of the week. We got a lot of ground to cover with a
We're
little bit
just
of
now
time.
finishing that?
Well, yeah, because
Wow.
that was kind of a continuation
Yeah, it
of,
kinda
of
was.
tra-
Yeah, wasn't it? That was
transportation,
awesome.
teleportations, and such. So let's get on with it. And
Oh, I better like this stream.
all right, folks, the Ghost Radar's been really quiet tonight. It went off about 3 times last show, or 3 or 4 times, but this show not even once.
It's all my fault.
Where are our visitors? Yeah, Don, you chased them off. It's the beard.
Yep. Scary thing it is.
It's there's some religions that equate hair with power. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I was just trying to be,
Yeah.
humble about it. Really.
all right, so we are going to get to. I think we're going to go right into the cryptid corner. I was going to do some coincidences and stuff, but we literally are down to about almost the last half hour of the show. It's flown by, folks. Time flies in the portal, and we've got some great listener emails from SasquatchChronicles.com. coming up. I just love these because, I love Sasquatch Chronicles, and I think most of us do. If you don't, there's something wrong with you, but that's just my opinion. And of course, Wes is a dear friend, and it's great to feature his stuff on our site or on our shows. So thanks again, Wes, for letting us do this. But we're going to get to some listener emails that he posted on his blog, and we'll start off with that Cryptid Corner with those. So let's get to it. And this is SasquatchChronicles.com. I got to come up with maybe a splash, like an intro for the Cryptid Corner. I haven't done that yet. It's on my bucket list or to-do list, but it's obviously hasn't happened yet. But
something I want to do when
the Cryptid
Corner. I get
Corner.
old.
Welcome to the Cryptid Corner. All right, so we're gonna get to this, and this is this article is from February 24th, so it's very new. And this is the Montana incident. Again, this is from SasquatchChronicles.com and the blog, so you can stop over there and learn and see information, so much information that Wes posts every day over here. He does an amazing job keeping it current, so check it out. But a listener writes, my name is Mark, and I was born in Seattle, and my family moved to Montana in 1958 when I was 4 years old. I spent my life riding dirt bikes, camping, hunting in the woods, all of the time. I was in Scouts and very familiar with survival techniques. I moved back to Washington when I was 33 years old in 1986. I spent some time in the woods out here, however, I turned 69 this month, and I was in a bad motorcycle wreck 8 months ago. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. This is kind of hard for me to do because I'm using the voice method to do it. In the intubation tubes messed up my vocal cords, and my voice sounds like a loud whisper a lot of time. I was in a coma for about a week, and the left side of my body was crushed, and my ribs have titanium plates holding them together. Oh man, that guy got really wrecked. Yep. I'm glad he's still alive. Wow. I decided I want to get these stories out before I die and no one ever hears it, because I do believe there's something out there. When I was a sophomore in high school in 1970, on a Thursday, a friend of mine went out to hang out with his girlfriend on some property that I worked on a ranch. The next day, Friday, he came to a couple of us and said that somebody was throwing pine cones and rocks at his truck. We were all thinking he was the crosstown high school students messing with him, so we decided to go out there on Friday night. Well, we grabbed a few beers, took my car, and went out to the property, and we opened the gate, and it's the kind that has the loop at the bottom with the post going through it, and then you put that post up to the other post, and there's a loop of wire on top of that holds it all there. Well, we opened that gate, drove through it, and closed it, and went to the property that's right on the Missouri River. That we're used to that property because we have parties there. Well, we were real quiet, and we were walking around waiting for something to happen, and nothing happened. So a couple of us split up cigarettes, and a couple of us cracked open some beers, and there was 6 of us all there together, and we're all making noise and talking, just having a good time. I decided to walk down around the property and down on the bank of the river, and there was a low bank by the river, and then there was like a 10-foot ridge that you can walk behind, and nobody could see you until you came up over the ridge. Well, a friend of mine and I were walking along that area, and the guys that were hanging out by my car could not see us. I'm looking in the moonlight, walking next to the river, and I see a rock that's twice the size of a basketball sailing through the air and splash in the river. It made the kind of sound real deep and big divot in the river, and the river is a pretty fast-flowing river, and as the river flowed, it came down towards me because I was downstream. My buddy says they're throwing rocks to mess with us, and I said to him, "Did you see the size of that rock? Nobody's throwing that rock." Well, I freaked out and ran up towards my car, and my buddy followed me. They're like, "Are you guys throwing rocks?" And I explained to them how big the rock was, and they did not believe me, but I made them all get in my car because I was freaked out. So we drove up to the gate, and there was a coyote hanging, bleeding on the gate.
Huh.
I don't know why. My buddy wouldn't open the gates, so I had to get out the driver's seat of the car and go and open the gate, throw the coyote off to the side, and went through the gates. Of course, I had to close it so the cows wouldn't get out there. I had to work Saturday morning on the ranch, and then, since I was already there, and it was quite a ways from where I lived, I decided that I'd just stay in the bunkhouse, and so did my buddy. The next morning, I hear a gunshot of the farmer's wife screaming, as they were both at least in their 80s, because they're always said they've been married over 60 years. By the time I got to the other side of the house and looked out the window, I saw the farmer running through the pasture towards the woods, and this creature was huge, and I mean huge, in front of him, striding into the woods, and he's taking his shotgun and shooting it at the creature. We've lost a bunch of chickens and goats, so there was always a gun by the door. I ran outside with the gun and ran up to him as his wife is screaming. She says, "Did you see that?" I said, "What was it?" And he goes, "Some huge man wearing buffalo skins." Long story short, I did not believe that because it did not look like a big man wearing buffalo skins. Wow. So I wonder if he thought it was a man, was he really shooting like real buckshot or something? Or is it just a rock salt kind of thing?
No, I bet you back in the 70s it was probably the real stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
No rock salt out in Montana. No such thing.
Oh my God. Wow, that's crazy.
Whoa!
And we're not alone, Don. Two of them on the other side of the...
As long as they stay over there.
Yeah, on the other side of the monitors.
Now, is this one that also picks up the words?
It does, but I've never found any real relevance to the words it spits out.
Oh, all right.
So, there you go.
We had that one tractor that one time.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about tractor and...
It was kind of relevant, though, wasn't it?
It was slightly relevant at the time. I can't remember what the...
I can't remember either. I have to go back to old episodes because we talked about it there.
It was a long time ago, though.
But yeah, there you go, folks. The first detection of the night on the ghost radar. The red one would be the more powerful, energetic, and the green one would be a lesser energetic form. So there they were, right on the other side of the monitor. It's kind of creepy, though. Sorry if that freaks you out. Sometimes it freaks Don out when that's on. It did in the past, anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Did it now?
Oh, yeah. It was like I wasn't ready for it.
That'll keep you perky.
You didn't see me jump up and sit up straight going, oh!
Yeah. Aye. Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go to the next one from Sasquatch Chronicles blog.
Maggie says, "Why not fairy bells? Tinkle, tinkle. Why does it sound like it's going to eat your soul?" Because that's what it's for.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be hesitant to use it ghost investigating like at a haunted property.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, this house is kind of active anyway, but not consistently. But if I was in a desolate old house and I had like the headphones on or on a laptop,
right, and
I heard that sound, I would probably be laying bacon in my underwear.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, whoa.
I don't know if I like that term.
I don't know. I kind of used the hell out of fudge stripes, so
true.
Had to go to something else. But laying bacon, that's the new one. I actually heard that on. I think it was on. What was it called? What's that name of that show? It's just gone from my head. Yeah. They're a ghost investigating show, and I really like them. But I can't remember it. I'll remember it in a minute.
Mountain Men.
No, that's what? That's not Mountain Men's a survival show.
Mountain Men. Mountain Monsters.
Oh, Mountain Monsters.
Yeah,
no.
Mountain Monsters.
No, it's
don't remember bacon.
Something TV. I can't remember what it is. Something TV. God, I can't believe that's gone from my mind.
Is it a YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel.
Mindseed?
Mindseed, that's the one, yeah. It was Mindseed. They said laying bacon in your underwear. I thought that was hilarious. So I'm stealing it from Mindseed, guys. Oh, I like Mindseed. They're pretty good guys. They seem like real good down-to-earth guys, too. So if you're ever looking for some good investigation videos, go check it out.
Didn't they start as like a tech review?
Oh, I don't know.
I think they did. They started as a tech review channel and got into odd stuff. Okay,
well, speaking of getting into odd stuff, let's get into the next Sasquatch Chronicles blog here, and this one's from February 25th. And I think this is already an episode, so you may have heard it if you already listened to Wes's show. If not, go listen to it, the actual interview. But he says, a listener writes, tomorrow night, The Journey. A listener writes, I was living in a small town north of St. George, Utah, called Central, Utah.
Original.
Well, you come up with a name. Where is it? Central, Utah. Okay, there you go. I met a fellow who moved to that area a short time before I did, and he was considered himself a seasoned Sasquatch researcher.
Oh, boy.
We met, maybe it's Russ. We met through church and became friends, and he was convinced that a family of 3 Sasquatch were living in the area. I went out with him several times and saw some interesting things, but I was less than convinced. Well, anyway, my experience was different. I've always been fascinated with all things Bigfoot, but I never thought I would see one. I would love to tell you the whole story because it wasn't just me that saw them. I also know that several ranchers are aware of them, and one of them lost a calf. He told me he was watching his herd one night at night because 2 big guys, I don't want to say that word, but stole one of his calves, and I had a lady from church tell me she saw a big man, 10 foot tall, on the side of the road, a quarter of a mile from where I saw an adult and an adolescent. This all happened about 5 months. I can tie this all together. It's too much for an email, and I'm ready to tell what I experienced if you're interested. So definitely go check it out. The Journey must be the newer episode on Sasquatch Chronicles, but I'm sure it's a good one. I haven't heard it yet either, so I'm going to have to go listen. And thank you, Sugar Bitches.
Yay!
Yay! Woo! All right, so The Journey. Go check out Sasquatch Chronicles episode, The Journey. Unless it's a member show. If it's a member show, you have to be a member. So I don't know if you are or not, but it's possibly there for you. Next up, Sasquatch Chronicles blog.
Yes, Sugar got the clap.
Yep, absolutely. All right, February 28th, something huge jumping out of a tree and running. And, wow, that kind of reminds me of when you and I were up in the mountains. Sounded like something big landed.
Yeah,
just that real bassy.
Right.
He almost felt it as much as heard it. It's like, ooh, that was big. A listener writes, first of all, I just want to say that I enjoy your show so very much. You've helped so many people get their stories told and have allowed them to feel normal for knowing things that are not normal in our society. You've helped me as well because there have been mysteries that have plagued my brain for my entire life. And I feel like I can puzzle the pieces together and know what was possibly happening in my life. Now, my story won't be one that'll make you want to put me on your show because I've never seen a Bigfoot. However, I'd like to tell you these things because what I have to say will just be another piece of evidence that so many people have experienced the same type of things. And I'll give you locations in this case, that this helps in any way. For the first 13 years of my life, I lived on a mountain in East Tennessee. The road leading to the mountain was Sugar Grove Valley Road, and I lived in Holiday Shores at the very top. We overlooked the Clinch River, and on clear days you could see the Smoky Mountains outlined in the distance. That's where my cousin lives, right in the Smokies. Oh. To put this into perspective, I was born in 1970. We lived basically in the middle of nowhere, and it was years before we had any close neighbors. My dad liked to drink. He was a World War II vet that had seen and done too many things, I think. And when he did, he wasn't the nicest person. So I grew up climbing trees and running the mountains all the way down to the river by myself. I was an only child. The outdoors was my playground, and we were pretty poor, so I didn't have the toys and great things to keep me bound up inside the house. And for this, I'm thankful. Some of my first memories, though, have always haunted me a bit. I was a sensitive child, I guess, and to this day, I'm able to sense danger when I'm outdoors. There were several times I would be outside playing and suddenly develop a great sense of unease and impending danger. I remember these moments just as sheer panic and I would run as fast as I could to my mom, but was never able to pinpoint anything that should be causing that feeling. I remember one day being outside with my mom and there was a tree line straight over the hill from our backyard. It's hard for me to say now exactly how far away it was, but it was a pretty good distance. I remember Mom looking that way, and she had a strange look on her face, so it drew my attention, and then I heard what caught her attention. It was heavy footsteps in that tree line, like something very heavy making its way through. And I remember her saying that it was strange to be hearing something like that as far away as we were. I remember asking what it was and her saying she had no idea, but it had to be something big, and I needed to be careful when I was out roaming, as she called it. Not too long after that, we were at a neighbor's house down the road. They had 3 horses that I dearly loved, and I remember hearing them suddenly making an absolute ruckus. My dad and neighbor jumped up and grabbed guns and ran outside. They were out there a while, and when they came back in the house, I remember my dad being oddly quiet, but the owner of the house said he didn't know what was out there, but they had run it off. I could tell he was upset, and I remember them talking about how they didn't want to know what was out there, but the horses were in a corner of the fence and going crazy, and when they got close, they heard something take off running that was as fast as deer, but as heavy as a bear. I remember my dad saying that there was no bear in the world that could run that fast. Not long after that, I remember this neighbor's teenage son saying they had heard something that sounded like something huge jumping out of a tree and running off on their property. One night, soon after that, I was out on our back porch, which was actually on the second story in the house we lived in, so it was off the ground a ways. It was dark, but my parents didn't think anything of me playing out there. Suddenly, I got that eerie feeling, and I heard a baby start crying, like a tiny baby. Now, keep in mind that there are literally no other sounds at that time, no bugs, no nothing except for the crying baby. I went and got my mom. As soon as she heard it, she told me to get in the house. I kept asking what it was and begging her to go help it, and she said no, that was a rabid fox baby, and it would give us rabies. Now, as a child, I didn't question that answer, but I was so torn. I can't even describe how hard it was to listen to it and not go help it. I could also tell that this was a BS answer, and she did not think it was a fox at all. Not long after this, the lights started showing up, and Mom and Dad had no explanation for them. These lights were just like just a light white color. Sometimes there was one, sometimes two, sometimes they moved, and sometimes they were stationary. They were never inside the house, only outside, and if you looked directly at them, they would disappear. My mom and I had made a game out of seeing them after a while. We would say, "Don't look now, but there's a light on the porch, on the ground." They looked like 2 eyes. And we all seen them and could see them at the same time as long as we didn't look directly at them. One night I watched numerous ones cascade in front of my bedroom window. One Thanksgiving, several of our Kentucky relatives came down. After our meal, we decided to go for a walk because the adults all needed to walk the meal off. We were up above the river on the gravel road, and there were no houses close. And the woods got very thick on one side, and I remember it was some kind of evergreens, and they had branches all the way to the ground, if that makes sense. It does up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the way they all are. I'd started hearing something to my right in this thick vegetation that sounded like footsteps crunching in the leaves. I looked around, and everyone that was supposed to be with me was still on the road. And finally, one of the adults made a comment about us being paced, and everyone immediately stopped walking. The sound in the woods stopped. We started walking, and the walking in the woods started again. Now, at first, they were saying it was a bobcat, but then the conversation turned to, no, it's too heavy. It sounds like a person. We'd stop, and it would stop. We would start, and it would start. We tried everything to see through the thick brush to see what it was. And then it just got spooky, so we all just hurried out of that section of the road and never heard another thing. And I'm going to stop here, but send another email if it's okay. I have some other weird stuff to tell you, but I hate to make these too long. Thank you for being a listening ear. This stuff has always confused me so badly, and listening to your shows have shown me I'm not the only one out there, so to speak. I've just always had to be careful talking about this stuff. I'm a social worker, and if people thought I was crazy, it wouldn't be good professionally. Yeah, wow. That's pretty wild. Sounds like there's a lot popping off out there, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeez.
I do have one issue with the story, though.
What?
So this person's father was a World War II vet,
Yes.
and this person was born in 1970.
Yes.
That means father was a minimum of 60 years old.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, because if he was 20 years old in 35 years later, he's 55, close to 60.
My neighbor was, I mean, he might have been an old father, but, I would say, I know that I had one neighbor that was, when I was growing up, that was probably in his maybe about 40s when I was young, like a little guy. And, he got old through the years and passed away finally, but he was a veteran. He actually had some.
Not from World War II.
Yeah.
No, because World War II ended in 1945.
Yeah, I know.
And that's 35 years before we were born.
So if they were like 20, 22, 23 years old.
It would make them almost 60.
Older father. I mean, the math works. I mean, there are older men that have children. Of course.
Yeah, I mean,
it's harder for the women. Yeah, yeah. Look at us. But I know that I grew up with a neighbor who was a vet, and he actually had daggers and stuff, and actually a Luger from there.
I'd love to have a Luger.
Yeah, well, this one had an emblem on it that I didn't like too much, but
that does happen.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. You're right; it would make him plenty old, but I do have to say that his kids, when I was little, were teenage. Well, his youngest daughter was. Right. Yeah, so I know because she used to babysit us. But yeah.
Wow, Digger, I didn't know you were that old. I thought you were more like, our age, like 50, 55, 60. Digger says my dad fought in World War II, and I'm 72.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Born in 50.
Right.
So.
Okay. And Maggie said, "What's a Luger?" A Luger is a type of pistol.
Yes.
It's a pistol that was used by the bad guys in World War II.
Oh, goodness, Ruthie. Yes, I know that.
What did Ruthie say?
She says, "Hey, Don, men can impregnate ladies until they die." Yeah, that's true. I know. Trust me, I know.
Ruthie bringing the facts. Why, yes, we can. No, I'm just... That's wildly inappropriate. So I'm sorry.
So Caleb says my granddad was in World War II and he passed away at 79 when I was 16.
Oh.
So yeah, but they're older folks.
Sure.
Even when we were younger, they were still older folks.
They were a hell of a generation, boy. Wow.
Well, that's true.
Just think of the hell that they saw. Those guys.
I don't really want to.
No, I don't either.
And it's disgusting that they had to go through it to begin with, but.
It is. I mean, it's horrible that things could ever get that bad. But that was a different kind of war, too. It was like those guys dug that war. Like now you just phone a missile down somebody's chimney.
Right, exactly.
And you call it a day. But back then they had to go grind that stuff out in person.
Right.
And that's just a whole kind of hell that I don't know. Nobody should have to witness, But they were a different breed for sure. Those guys were coiled steel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You remember my story about sitting out front of SeaTac Airport waiting for the bus one day, and I hear this, right? It was the outside parking lot, and my bus stop was in front of it, right? This young guy gets out of this truck, and he rear-ended this old guy, right? Mm-hmm. The young guy gets out of the truck, and he's just lipping off to this guy, right? And this guy he was an older guy. And I just looked up and I thought to myself, that is really stupid. Because I know that Navy guys back in those days knew how to box.
Yeah.
He knocked this kid out with one swing. I was like, yeah, there you go, buddy. Come on, let's use our brain.
Yeah. That's what they say. You don't mess with older people.
With them. No.
Because they got a whole lifetime of experience you've never even
right?
considered.
Yep.
And experiences. Yeah. And even an older guy from those generations, man, they're tough. I watched my grandfather. My grandfather was he was a World War II vet. He actually had a paratrooping accident in training, and had to crawl with broken body for 3 days until he could find help.
Wow!
And that guy was just steel. And I watched him when he was suffering from leukemia, had broken ribs, and he was in the hospital in his 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And that man had broken ribs, and he wanted to sit up, so he grabbed that arm rail of that bed.
Right.
And he pulled himself right up. And I was like, oh my God. I would be in a fetal position crying. And this man was just like, "Ugh," and he pulled his, and he was a big man. He was a big man, but
Yeah.
God, he was just strong.
Yep.
Even to the day he died.
Yeah,
Man.
don't mess with those guys.
Nope. Those guys are no joke for sure.
I grew up with my grandparents too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. That's okay.
Yeah. There was a law of the land. And they knew it a hell of a lot better than we did.
They knew how to land the law too. Trust me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so this one I've read. I want to see how long the next one is because we're getting low on time. This one's still pretty long. Let's see what the next one is. Yeah, that
one's even longer.
I think we'll go over to Phantoms and Monsters, maybe. What do we got here? Multiple upright canines. Yeah, I think we can read this one. Okay, this will close it out. We're going to go to Phantoms and Monsters now to close out the Cryptid Corner for the night because we're running out of time, folks. The portal is just portaling us. We're getting portaled. Maybe that's the time anomaly. We're being portaled.
There you go.
All right, so we're going to go to Phantoms and Monsters. This is Lon Strickler's site. Wonderful guy and just a pillar in the paranormal 40 communities forever. And his site is wonderful if you want to read a bunch of incredible encounters. You want to find out information of Lon's books or the research efforts into different phenomena that's going on around, as well as check out his podcast, which is Phantoms and Monsters Podcast. So you can check it out by going to phantomsandmonsters.com. And special thanks to Lon as well for giving us permission to use his site. This one is from Thursday, February 16th. And this is right up our alley, Don.
Really?
Because it has to do with cryptids. And it's multiple upright cryptid canines.
Yeah, I can leave now.
Encounters stranded driver in upstate Pennsylvania. So there's multiple canines, upright canines. That's got to be a horrible. If you're already stranded,
Yeah.
and that's what you're dealing with,
Right.
it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, the thin piece of glass between you and whatever's outside the car gonna
Lord.
be enough.
Yeah.
I also let's do shout outs after this story. So
Actually,
if you're
it's
not
doing
chatting,
that. Yeah.
you want to do that now?
Do the shout outs now because
They better get talking because you're only going to get a shout out if you're talking or if I remember you were here, like Farm and like Mom.
yeah, we know Portal Mom's here. We know Farm's here.
Yep. Oh, look, this line, it's getting shorter now that I'm speaking.
is
Chucky Danger's here. Digger Dog, how you doing? John LaBella, John Stevenson, Caleb, Maggie M10, Ninja Dave, Opal, Penny Van, Rachel's always getting it right. Ruthie, hi Ruthie, we love you. Sugar Britches, there's Farm. I knew he was going to pop up here. Elaine Clifford, and let's see here. Somebody else? Anybody else? Anybody?
Opal?
Anybody? I said Opal.
Oh,
and
you
if I
did?
didn't, I apologize.
John
Hi, Opal.
Stevenson?
How are you? Yep, said that one.
You did. Okay.
All right, so there you go. And
right.
we're done.
And let's read this story about
Love you
multiple,
all. Let's get to the story.
multiple upright canines. All right. A man was driving through upstate Pennsylvania at night when he almost hits an unknown biped. Biped. The car slides into the ditch and is stuck, and that's when the real nightmare begins. The following account was forwarded to me by a colleague. It says, I was driving home on an isolated road through a mountainous area. It was late and dark, and honestly, I couldn't have told you exactly where I was. All I knew was that I was in Tioga County, Pennsylvania, and that I needed to stay on the road I was on until I finally left the state and hit my home territory in New York. I was in and out of a daydream state. You know how it is when you're exhausted and trying to push on.
Yep.
I was so exhausted that even the caffeine wasn't giving me what I needed, and I was too cheap to spend the money on a hotel. However, when I was approaching a curve, this is where my story occurs. My headlights lit up something that looked like a person, except almost double, if not triple in size. I had to swerve to avoid it, and I sure as hell woke up from that. I wasn't sure if I had clipped him or her, but my car started sliding and went into a ditch. The first thing I did was get out to make sure that I hadn't just hit somebody. I was thinking, why would there be someone out here in the middle of nowhere wearing all black? There was no one around and was pretty sure there had been somebody in the road. I was just certain of it. My car was good and stuck. The tires wouldn't grip the mud, and I didn't want to call for a tow truck, but it was looking like my only option. I sat in my car and tried phoning out when I was sure I had seen movement. I was hoping it was someone willing to help me, but then thought it was just my exhaustion playing tricks on me. I shook my head wondering if it would be a good idea to just sleep right there in the ditch and wait for the tow truck, and then it started to rain heavily. I was really tired, and the sound of rain wasn't helping me stay awake. Then the thoughts of sleep were suddenly gone when the driver's side window was blocked by the drenched, furry body of something very large.
Ooh.
It was walking on two legs, but there is no way that this was a human. It stopped, peered into the window. It was so ugly and evil looking. That's the only description that I feel is even appropriate. It pointed its long wolf-like snout right at me.
Oops.
And baring its teeth in a menacing grin, like it was smiling at me as if it was happy that I was trapped in this little metal enclosure.
Yeah.
Those long yellow fangs. The worst part was its eyes. There was no soul in them, but they had a supernatural glow, and then ran its claw on my window, which made a scratching sound. It was sadistic. So evil. It maintained the stare and grin like it was letting me know that there was no way I could run. I then noticed another wolf-like creature come out from the downpour, and then another. And I don't know how many there were, but I was paralyzed with fear. It seemed like forever, though it was only a matter of seconds, but then they instantly disappeared. I looked around hoping that they were gone, and then I wondered why they took off. Well, I soon found out. A pickup truck pulled up behind me. The old man stepped out, walked up to the driver's side window, and volunteered to pull me out of the ditch. He looked at me and asked if I was all right. I didn't tell him what I'd seen. He hooked a chain to my car and quickly pulled it out of the ditch. I thanked him profusely and offered to pay him for his trouble, but he refused any payment. It then felt comfortable enough to tell him what had happened to me, and that I never seen anything like it before. After I described what I'd seen, he got a strange look on his face, almost like he had heard this before. I asked him questions, but he was very dismissive. I was positive that he was aware of the beasts. That was in November 2020.
Wow.
I'll never forget it. I can only imagine what may have happened to me if that old man had not come to my rescue. Yikes. Could you imagine?
Nope.
No, I don't
No,
want to.
either.
There's no imagining there.
No doubt.
That would be just about as big a nightmare as you can imagine. Because, and what if that guy hadn't shown up? That old guy,
Right?
The other truck.
Dog chow.
Yeah, I mean, they would have peeled that thing like a sardine can.
Yep.
I have no doubt that they could, wrestle open a car.
Right?
Oh, God.
Well, yeah, they can run them down. Why not?
Right, yeah, they can keep up with them anyway, and they'll probably slash your tires. God only knows.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
what a horrifying thing. So I guess, the good news is
They're okay.
he made it.
Yep.
Yep, and met an old neighbor or an old farmer guy or whatever that doesn't want to talk about these things.
Yeah, no doubt there.
But we do here on the portal. Right, Don?
We do. Real quick, a couple extra shout outs. Brian Frisk, Susie Dundee.
Oh, Suze.
Also, you remember Jody and Stacy from...
I do.
They were in here today.
Oh, nice.
So shout out to them. That was
Very cool.
Private Eye Paranormal. Right. There you go.
Suze is from Australia, too.
I would imagine so.
Got the Aussie love showing up here in the portal. Thank you
That's
guys so
right.
much for that. And keep an eye open because Cade and I are talking about doing some kind of crossover episodes coming up. So we'll let you know when that's coming up. And also, just for future reference, March 11th, we're going to be joined by Miss Deborah Varner here on the portal
Ooh.
to give free psychic readings to callers of the show.
There
So
you go.
if you've ever heard Deb on the show, or if you've ever been interested in maybe getting a reading for yourself, never done it, maybe, even if you have done it, if you haven't had a reading from Deb, you should call in. So again, that's
Yeah,
March 11th.
definitely.
I think that's the 11th. That's next Saturday. Yeah, a week from Saturday.
you
So
go. Yep.
March 11th, 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here on YouTube.
That'll be awesome.
That'll be awesome, and it'll be us, and you'll be awesome if you're here. So if you want to be awesome, then be here.
That's the only way you can be awesome. Everything else is not awesome.
You're all awesome.
It's just a thing.
We love you all. But thank you everybody for showing up tonight.
Oh, and
being a part of it.
just in case you're Australian, that's actually March 12th.
Yeah.
So just FYI.
Yeah, I'm talking about the date and time here. But all the shows, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here on YouTube. So we'd love to have you check back. If you're not already subscribed, we'd love to have you get subscribed and be a part of the family. Remember the Discord link. Ring the bell.
Ring the
also,
bell.
If you do get subscribed here on YouTube, because then you get the notifications.
Yep.
They're not always consistently good, but they're at least it's something. I don't know. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for all your love and support. Thank you to K-Love for all you've been doing, and thank you for the question of the week tonight.
That was awesome, yeah.
If any of you have questions of the week you'd like to have asked in the Discord, please send them to me. I'd be happy to post your questions as well. Again, it helps me out a ton, and if there's something about the paranormal you've always been wondering about and would like to hear what people think, put the questions out and let me know, and we'll be happy to post them in your behalf. And do credit, of course, to those of you that have. And thank you so much for the help. So, Don, anything in closing?
Teespring to get your Paranormal Portal merch gear.
Yeah,
stuff.
if you want Paranormal Portal merch and you want to help make Don and I smile, then that's one way to do it. It helps to support us a bunch, and we really appreciate it. So the link is in the description. If you look below the video, you'll see the Teespring link. You can check it out. See if anything there tickles your fancy. If you're finding that you'd like to see something in there that would tickle your fancy, let us know. We can always add more designs. Right, Don?
Yeah, we can see what we can do.
All right. So I know some people have been buying hoodies lately. I've seen messages come through from you guys, so thank you for that. But that's going to wrap up our journey for tonight, folks. Thank you all again for being a part of our Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Did you say Jake?
Jake
Jake showed up?
BLB.
Did he just show up?
He just showed up.
What the hell, Jake?
Wow, what are you doing?
You're a little bit late. What else is going on there was so much more important?
Gosh.
We do accept absent notes in the office. So
Hall pass is not accepted today.
not accepted.
It's
All
Hump
right.
Day.
But we love you guys. Remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. We'll be back Friday and Saturday night. I hope you'll join us on one or both of those. And feel free to spread these videos out and share them to the world. Let people know what the hell the Paranormal Portal is. We'd be happy. It'd make me smile.
Oh, no.
What?
No, Maggie, that would be scary.
What?
She says jeggings with a B-E-K on the butt.
What?
Jeggings.
Jeggings. What the hell are jeggings?
They're jean leggings.
Oh.
Jeggings.
With black-eyed
with
kids
a
on the butt.
B-E-K on the butt.
Oh, well, we can design pretty much anything, right, Don?
You know, I just don't even... That image is not good now.
You want the letters BEK or a picture of a black-eyed kid on the
Pretty
butt?
sure it's a B-E-K.
I don't know. All right.
You know, I might be able to take the one that T-Fetch sent us and do something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, serious inquiries only. We do have to account for design time. No.
Yeah. Well, and if you want a shortcut, I got a picture of my beard on a couple things you might like.
We're not talking about the women's underwear again, Don. You and your manty hose. Jesus.
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I bet you did, you creepy bastard. All right, guys. That's about all the debauchery we have time for tonight. So we love you. Take care of yourselves, and hopefully see you on Friday night. So tune in. Love to have you there. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Peace.